My name is Elena Whitmore, and 2 weeks ago, the past knocked on my door like it still owned a key. It was a gray Seattle morning, the kind where the sky feels heavy enough to press down on your chest. I was in the kitchen, barefoot, reheating coffee that had already gone cold twice, when the doorbell rang. Not a polite ring. A firm one. Intentional. Like whoever stood outside had rehearsed it. When I opened the door, I didn't recognize her at first. Not because she looked different, she didn't. Same posture, same tightly pressed lips, same calculated stillness. But because my brain had already filed her under gone. 9 years gone. Hello, Elena. My mother. She stood there in a charcoal coat, one hand gripping a leather carry-on, the other holding a folded sheet of paper. No smile. No hesitation. No warmth. Just arrival. I didn't know where else to go, she said. That was the first lie. Because she knew exactly where to go. She had my address. She had always had it. What she didn't have until recently was a reason to come. I stepped aside and let her in. Not because I forgave her, but because I wanted to hear what she had come to say. She didn't hug me, didn't ask how I'd been, didn't glance at the framed photos lining the hallway, the ones filled with moments she had chosen to miss. Instead, she walked straight to the dining table and sat down like she was attending a meeting. Then she unfolded the paper. I've put some things together, she said, smoothing it out carefully. For the future. The word future felt strange coming from her. Like hearing a stranger use your childhood nickname. She began reading. Numbers. Requests. Plans. Each line colder than the last. Retirement support. Property repairs. Medical expenses. Educational funds for someone else's child I had never met. Not once did she say, I'm sorry. Not once did she say, I missed you. Not once did she say your children. Because yes, she had grandchildren. 2 of them. And she had never even learned their birthdays. I stood there listening, not interrupting, not reacting. Just letting her finish. Because here's the thing she didn't know. While she had spent 9 years building distance, I had spent 9 years building memory. Not emotional memory. Documented memory. Dated. Organized. Preserved. Not out of revenge. Out of survival. Because when someone erases you slowly, you start holding on to proof that you existed. I walked quietly to my office. Bottom drawer. Still there. A black binder. Thick. Worn at the edges. Heavy in a way that had nothing to do with paper. 9 years of silence inside it. Every unanswered call. Every returned letter. Every moment she chose absence over love. I carried it back and placed it on the table, right next to her neatly folded list. She looked at it confused. What is that? She asked. I met her eyes for the first time since she walked in. You brought a plan, I said calmly. I rested my hand on the binder. I brought the truth. And for the first time since she arrived. She hesitated. That was new, because the woman who raised me never hesitated. But she had never faced this version of me before. And she had no idea. This conversation wasn't going to be about the future. It was going to be about everything she tried to bury in the past. She didn't touch the binder. She stared at it the way people look at things they already know they won't like, but can't look away from. I don't understand why you're being dramatic, she said, folding her hands together. Controlled. Composed. The same tone she used when I was a child, and she needed to remind me who was in charge. Dramatic. 9 years reduced to a word. I pulled out the chair across from her and sat down slowly. No, I said, calm but firm. You just never stayed long enough to understand anything. That landed. A small shift in her expression, barely visible, but I saw it. I had spent my entire childhood studying her face, learning how to read what she never said out loud. I opened the binder. The rings clicked softly, but in that quiet kitchen, it sounded louder than it should have.
Tab 1.
Year 1. I slid the first envelope out and placed it between us.
White.
Slightly yellowed now. A red stamp slashed across the front. Return to sender. I sent this 2 weeks after my wedding, I said. There's a photo inside. She didn't pick it up. I thought maybe if you saw me happy, it would matter. Silence. I placed the second envelope next to it. And this was Christmas that same year. Then a third. My birthday. You always said birthdays mattered. Her jaw tightened. I never got those, she said quickly. The lie came too fast. I didn't argue. I just turned the envelope over and tapped the stamp. They all came back from the same address. She didn't respond. So I moved on. Tab 2. Printed pages. Call logs. Voicemail transcripts. I called you 4 times in the first 6 months, I said, sliding the papers forward. Left messages every time. I read one aloud. Hi, Mom, just wanted to hear your voice. I miss you. My voice didn't break. That surprised even me. I waited after every call. I continued. Kept my phone on loud. Slept next to it. Still nothing from her. So I flipped to the next page. A text from you, I said. Her eyes flicked down despite herself. For words.
Give it time.
That was your entire response, I said quietly. That was the only thing you said to me for almost a year. She shifted in her seat. I needed space, Elena. You made a decision. I got married. I cut in. To someone you knew would divide this family. There it was. Not someone you loved. Not someone kind. Just a division. I leaned back slightly. No, I said. I married someone you refused to accept. Her lips pressed together harder. You don't understand what that did to us, she said. I let out a small breath. You're right, I said. I don't, because I wasn't the one who walked away. I turned the page. Tab 3. Photos. Printouts. Screenshots. This, I said, sliding one toward her, is from your social media. A family dinner. Smiling faces.
Holiday lights. Perfect.
Curated. Edited. Missing one thing.
Me.
You posted this caption. I continued. Everything that matters. Her eyes lingered on the photo longer than I expected. That was never meant to. But it did, I said. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. The truth doesn't need volume. It just needs to be heard. I leaned forward slightly, resting my hands on the table. Do you know what it feels like, I asked quietly, to slowly realize your own family has rewritten their life without you in it? She didn't answer, because there was no answer that wouldn't sound like an excuse. I closed that section gently and looked at her. Her list was still sitting untouched between us.
Neat. Clean.
Simple. My side of the table. Messy. Heavy. Real. You came here to talk about the future, I said. I tapped the binder lightly. But you don't get to skip this part. Her eyes met mine again. This time, there was something different in them. Not guilt. Not yet. But the certainty she walked in with? That was starting to crack. And we were only getting started. She stopped pretending after that. I saw it in the way her shoulders dropped. Just slightly. The performance wasn't gone, but it was slipping. You've made your point, she said, voice tighter now. We can't keep living in the past. I almost smiled. Not because it was funny. Because it was predictable. The past, I repeated softly, is the only reason you're sitting here right now. I flipped to the next section. Tab 4. This one was thicker. Heavier. Because this was the year everything changed for me and nothing changed for her. I pulled out a small photo. 2 tiny hospital bracelets attached to it. I sent you this when my children were born, I said. That got her attention. Her eyes dropped to the photo. 2 newborns wrapped in hospital blankets, barely visible under soft lighting. You have 2? She asked quietly. The question hit harder than anything she had said so far. Not because of what it was, but because of what it revealed.
You didn't even know, I said.
She didn't answer. I slid the envelope forward. Birth announcement, I continued. Sent priority. I wanted you to get it fast. I tapped the red stamp. Returned in 6 days. Her hand moved, almost like she was going to reach for it, but she stopped halfway. I thought, she started, then paused. What? I asked. That you were trying to manipulate us, she said, forcing the words out. Sending pictures, making it harder. I leaned back slowly. Harder. I repeated.
Yes.
You knew how I felt. You knew what that situation meant for this family. That word again. Family. I let out a quiet breath. My children weren't a situation, I said. They were your grandchildren. Silence. Heavy this time. I flipped another page. A printed screenshot. A message. You recognize this? I asked. Her eyes scanned it. Her face changed. I didn't write that, she said immediately. No, I replied. But you allowed it. It was a message from my sister, sent to someone else, forwarded back to me. Her kids don't really have a family here. That's what happens when you walk away. My mother's lips trembled slightly. She was upset.
She was honest, I said.
I didn't raise my voice. But every word landed. Because that's what you told her. That's not. You erased me, I said, finally cutting through. Completely. And then you taught everyone else to do the same. The room went quiet again. But this silence felt different. Less controlled. More exposed. I turned the page again. The final section. The most recent. The part she didn't know I had. Screenshots. Group messages. Conversations she thought would never reach me. I placed them down one by one. She read them.
Slowly. Carefully.
And I watched her expression fall apart piece by piece. Make a plan. Be specific. She'll respond to numbers. She has more than enough. Her breathing changed. That's not how I meant it. That's exactly how you meant it, I said. No. You didn't come here for me. That was it. That was the truth sitting between us. You came here because of what you think I have. She shook her head quickly. That's not fair. I leaned forward, meeting her eyes fully now. What's not fair, I said quietly, is disappearing for 9 years and coming back with a price tag. She didn't have a response this time. Not even a weak one. Just silence. Real silence. The kind that doesn't know how to defend itself. I closed the binder slowly. The sound echoed in the kitchen. That, I said, resting my hand on it, is everything you missed. She stood up suddenly. The chair scraped loudly against the floor. I did what I thought was right, she said, voice rising for the first time. You made a choice that affected all of us. I didn't move. I made a choice about my life, I replied calmly. You made a choice about whether I deserved to be part of yours. That's not the same thing. It is when the result is the same, I said. Her breathing was uneven now. This wasn't the composed woman who walked in earlier. This was someone losing control of a story she had told herself for years. You could have come back, she said. You could have fixed it. I almost laughed, but it came out as something quieter. I tried, I said. I gestured to the binder. Over and over again. Her eyes followed my hand. For the first time, she looked tired. Not angry. Not defensive. Just tired. I thought you'd come to your senses, she whispered. That sentence told me everything. Not I missed you. Not I regretted it. Just, I thought you'd change. I stood up slowly. No, I said. You thought I'd break. That hit her harder than anything else. Because it was true. She had expected time to wear me down. To make me come back on her terms. To apologize for something that was never wrong. But time hadn't broken me. It had built me.
Piece by piece.
Without her. I built a life. I continued. A real one. Not perfect, but honest. I pointed toward the hallway. My children are loved. Every single day. I paused. And not once did they have to earn it. Her eyes filled with tears again. But this time, they weren't controlled. They weren't strategic. They were real. I didn't know how to fix it, she admitted quietly. That was the first honest thing she had said. I let it sit there. Because honesty, when it finally shows up, deserves space. You start with the truth, I said. She nodded slowly. But I could already see it. She wasn't ready for what the truth actually required. Her eyes drifted to the paper she brought. Still sitting there. Still untouched. Still expecting something. I wasn't wrong about everything, she said, softer now. Family helps each other. I walked over, picked up the paper, and looked at it one last time. Then I placed it back in front of her. Family shows up first, I said. And then maybe they ask. She swallowed hard. That landed. I stepped back, creating distance. Not emotional.
Real.
Physical. Because this part mattered. You don't get both, I said. What do you mean? You don't get to disappear when it's inconvenient, I continued, and reappear when it's beneficial. The room felt still, like everything was waiting for one final decision. And I had already made mine. I looked at her, not as a daughter this time, but as a woman who had finally understood something important. You're not getting anything from me, I said. Her face flinched. Not dramatically. Just enough. Not because I can't help, I continued, but because helping you like this, I tapped the paper lightly, would mean pretending none of this happened. I placed my hand on the binder, and it did. Every second of it. Every ignored call. Every returned envelope. Every moment she chose silence over me. She closed her eyes briefly. I didn't think it would go this far, she whispered. But it had. That was the point. It always had. You don't get to rewrite it now, I said. She picked up the paper slowly, folded it
Carefully.
like she had done before. But this time, it didn't feel calculated. It felt defeated. I wanted to fix things, she said. I shook my head gently. No, I replied. You wanted to benefit from things. That was the difference. And she knew it, because she didn't argue.
She just stood there.
Holding a plan that no longer had any power. I don't know what happens now, she admitted. That was the first time she sounded unsure. Human. Not in control. I nodded once. That's up to you. She looked at me, searching for something. Maybe forgiveness. Maybe direction. Maybe a shortcut. There wasn't one. If you want to know my children, I said quietly, you start over. Her eyes lifted slightly. From the beginning. No expectations, I continued. No money. No conditions. Just truth. Just time. Just effort. The kind she never gave me. And even then, I paused, letting the weight of it settle. It's not guaranteed. That was the part she needed to hear. Because real consequences don't come with certainty. They come with risk. She nodded slowly, tears slipping down now, uncontrolled, unhidden. Then she picked up her suitcase, walked toward the door.
Paused. For a second I thought she might say it. I'm sorry.
But she didn't. Not yet. And that told me everything I needed to know. She wasn't ready. Not really. The door opened, then closed.
Soft.
Final. And just like that, the woman who erased me walked out of my life again. But this time, it didn't feel like loss. It felt like truth. I stood there for a moment, then walked back to the table. The binder was still there. Heavy.
Full. Complete.
But for the first time in 9 years, it didn't feel like something I needed anymore. Because closure doesn't come from the other person. It comes from finally saying everything you were never allowed to say. I picked it up, walked back to my office, and placed it in the drawer. Not hidden, not buried, just finished. Later that evening, my daughter ran into the kitchen laughing, asking me to watch her draw something. My son followed, arguing about something small and unimportant. Life. Normal. Beautiful. Unaffected. And, in that moment, I realized something simple. The family I lost was never really mine. But the one I built, that one was real. And no one, no amount of money, no sudden return, no rewritten story, could ever take that away.
End.